In this tutorial, I will be showing you how to use AppInventor to create mobile apps and to view them using an on-screen phone emulator. I've logged into the school's online file manager and I'm going to go to the SDrive, Computing. I'm scrolling down here to the S3 folder and I'm going to open up the folder called S3 AppInventor. And the AppInventor tutorials start in the Week 2 folder, introducing AppInventor. In this folder there are a number of useful files, including a slideshow called Starting AppInventor Birkdale. I'm going to view this on screen, so I'm going to view it in Office Web Apps, and this way I can move along and record my actions as I walk through the steps of the tutorial. This opening slide shows the on-screen phone emulator, which pretends to be an Android phone on your Windows PC and can be used to test the apps that you make. What we're aiming to do is to log into AppInventor using our Google accounts and make a simple app that we can then load onto the phone. It is important that you have a Gmail account. You should be able to use your new Google Classrooms account for this. Alternatively, you can use an account that was created for this purpose. You will need to confirm your account if you have not already set that up. And then we're going to load AppInventor using the Chrome browser is going to be the most compatible browser to use for this. So I'm going to switch to my Chrome browser. I'm going to create a new tab and do a search for AppInventor. AppInventor is created by and maintained by the MIT University. So MIT AppInventor is what we're looking for. And when I go here, I have a link to create apps that will launch the newest version of AppInventor. Here you can see that AppInventor wants me to log in with a Google account. This is why you need to have one available. And I'm going to use my Google Classroom account here. Now you'll see that I've gone straight into MIT AppInventor. However, if this is your first time, you may find that it will first of all ask you if you want to link your Google account to the AppInventor website. And you obviously need to agree to this to be able to use AppInventor. There is a tick box here that will remember your choice for 30 days. And I strongly advise that you tick this so that you don't have to log in each time. Just going to the website will automatically log you in if you're logged into Google. The other thing that you may notice when you log in is information about updates to AppInventor, and most of the time you can ignore these because you will not be able to install any new software on the school network. I'm going to click on Continue here, and more often than not you will see a tutorial until you get started in your own accounts. I'm just going to close this for the moment. Now the other key component of AppInventor is the phone emulator. Unless you're actually attaching an Android phone directly to your computer, you will need to have an emulator to see what's going on. So we need to load a piece of code called aiStarter. If you press your Windows key and then type AI, you should see the aiStarter app appearing. And if you load that, you'll find that there is a Windows console application loads up. It's important that you don't close this down. Although it says hit Ctrl-C to quit, you want to leave this running in the background because this is your phone. It's not actually appearing on screen yet, but it will listen out for you trying to use it, and it will then launch the phone at an appropriate point. So we can simply click onto a different window and leave that running in the background. This slide is suggesting that we should test out the phone emulator at the moment. So what we will do is we will go to App Inventor. We will choose Connect to Emulator. And we must first of all select a project. So we are going to start off with a new project. Now when you give a project a name, you're not allowed to use any spaces. So we use something called camel case. I'm going to call this one Simple App. So notice that the word simple, the word app are capitalized, all the rest are lowercase. And I'm going to click on OK. At this point, the main App Inventor interface opens up. We have a blank phone screen. We have no code, no widgets placed on the screen yet. So it might be a good idea just to start off and try a simple label. From the user interface, I'm going to drag a label and drop it onto the page. Notice it appears in components as label 1. You should get into the habit of immediately renaming any components. And unfortunately I'm going to have to scroll here a little bit, so I'm going to say rename that, and I'm going to rename it to my name label. To make any changes to what appears on the screen, you have to use the properties section, which is over here. And I'm going to come down to the text, which says text for label 1. And I'm going to change that to Mr. Morton. I'm going to change my font size from the default there to 24. And I'm going to change my background color to orange. So having created a simple app that's simply a label, I'm going to click on Connect and Emulator. It tells me it's starting the emulator, and this can take some time to happen. And what will happen is it will load the phone emulator onto your screen. It will then, once the phone is available, try to load the code that you've created onto that phone. So there's a two-step process. So at the moment the phone is being switched on, and we aren't actually yet able to see the app that we've made. So this is just like switching on your phone using the power button. One of the things that's quite likely to happen the first time you do this is that it will find that your Android version is out of date, and it will ask you if you want to update your phone. So you see now it's saying it's now connecting. So the phone has started up, and we are now waiting for the software to load onto it that uses our own individual app. Gets down to no seconds. It starts the companion. It will wait for a period of time to make sure that everything has loaded successfully, and after that point we should hopefully see our application running on the phone. So there is a little bit of waiting to do during the time that these things are happening. It's warned me here that my app is out of date. Click OK to start the update, and I'll be asked to approve it. So I'm going to say OK here. It's telling me that I'm installing new software onto the phone. So OK, I'm fine with that. And now on the phone you can see that there's a message saying that it's going to replace the AI widget on the phone. So I'm going to say OK, go ahead and install. Do I want to install the application? Yes, I want to install. And again, this might take a small amount of time. That was reasonably quick, and I'm now going to click on Done. As you can see, my application has loaded up. My label with Mr. Morton has appeared, so I have proved that I can link up to my phone using App Inventor. So, one of the things that you need to be aware of is that the phone that you are using is shared with everyone else who uses that particular PC. So it is essential that you do not try to set a password or lock the phone. If you lock the phone, no one except the person who can unlock it will be able to use that version of App Inventor. So I'm warning everyone not to use any lock screens on the phone. You will also not be able to make calls or do anything else with the phone. It should just be used for testing your App Inventor apps. So, we've already tested a simple test project. You're now ready to move on and do something a bit more useful with the time. What we're going to do is we're going to add an image to our application. So I'm going to switch back to the application here. I'm going to take my label, my name label here, and I'm going to create the text alignment to be centered. Now notice that what happened there was that the words Mr. Morton were centered within this box. What they haven't done is to center across the screen. In order to do that, I would have to set the width of the label to fill parent, and that way it will stretch to fit all of the screen space available. So we can see now that Mr. Morton, the label, fills the screen, and it is then centered text within that particular label. I'm going to drop an image onto the screen here. This image I'm going to call, so always rename as soon as you've dropped a widget on. So I'm going to call it image robot. And I've got two options here. I can either upload a file and then make choices, or much better to go into the properties here and then directly affect this widget. So at the moment the height is automatic, the width is automatic. I'm going to go to picture, which is none. I'm going to choose to upload a file. In my choose file dialog, I'm then going to go to Documents and into my App Inventor folder. In here I have something called Android icon. You should use things like JPEGs, GIFs and PNGs rather than bitmaps. In other words, you should use images that work on the internet, so web-based files. If I say OK, that will then upload a particular file. Now, at the moment, scale picture to fit is unticked. If I tick that, then it should squeeze the image down to fit the available space. I can also set the height to fill parent and the width to fill parent, and that way it will use as much of the screen space as is available after the phone has drawn the label. So my new application has been created. If I go and look at the phone, you will see that it has automatically updated what is appearing there. However, you might find sometimes that it does not transfer over directly onto the phone. If that is the case, you will need to go to Connect and refresh the companion screen, or reset the connection and then restart the emulator. And that is us successfully having created a not very interactive application